Commander Zixith clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he surveyed the pristine ranks of the Galactic Defense Coalition forces. Each soldier stood in perfect formation, their armor gleaming under the artificial lights of the orbital station. 12 species, all following the same protocols, the same training, the same rigid discipline that had maintained peace across 300 worlds for over a millennium. The humans should arrive within the hour, announced Lieutenant Vexra, her crystalline features reflecting the tactical displays. Intelligence suggests they'll bring their standard military contingent, approximately 5,000 troops in regulation formation. Zixith nodded approvingly. Humanity had only recently joined the coalition, and this would be their first major deployment against the Devourers, a mechanical plague that consumed entire star systems. Every species had contributed their finest, the towering Gorlaxian shock troops with their ceremonial battle honors, the precise Nexian tactical units with their synchronized movements, the ethereal Vorthax psionics in their traditional meditation circles. The view screen flickered as a human vessel approached, but something was wrong. The ship looked like it had been through a shredder. Hull plates hung loose, engine exhausts glowed an unhealthy orange, and what appeared to be duct tape was visible across several sections. "Sir?" Vexra's voice carried a note of confusion. "They're requesting immediate docking. No formation protocols, no ceremonial approach. They're coming in fast and rough." The docking bay shuddered as the human ship practically crashed into the berth. Zixith and his officers rushed to the observation deck, expecting to see neat ranks of soldiers disembarking in orderly fashion. Instead, chaos erupted from the ship's belly. The first human out was missing an eye, his face a roadmap of scars. He wore what might have once been a uniform, now patched with different materials and stained with substances Zixith didn't want to identify. Behind him came others, each one unique in their dishevelment, each carrying weapons that looked jury-rigged from salvaged parts. "Where's your commanding officer?" Zixith demanded as he approached the group. The scarred human turned and grinned, revealing several missing teeth. "That'd be me. Sergeant Major Chen, 3rd Terra Expeditionary. Though the expeditionary part's been stretched a bit thin over the years." He gestured to his ragtag band. "These are my people. We heard you had a devourer problem." Zixith looked around at the humans in disbelief. They ranged from barely adults to grizzled veterans who looked like they'd crawled out of a war zone. Their equipment was a mismatched collection of salvaged gear, improvised weapons and armor that had seen better decades. Some limped, others bore visible prosthetics, and all of them had the 1,000-yard stare that spoke of battles too numerous to count. "Where are your formations? Your standard equipment? Your uniforms?" Vexra asked, her voice rising in pitch. Shen laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "Uniforms? Lady, we've been fighting the Devourers for 3 years straight. Lost our supply lines in the Kepler system, been improvising ever since." He patted his weapon, a plasma rifle with what looked like a kitchen timer duct taped to the side. "This beauty's killed more metal monsters than your entire fleet's seen." The other coalition commanders exchanged glances. This wasn't how military operations worked. Where was the hierarchy? The organization? The proper protocols? Admiral Quexna of the Gorlaxians stepped forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the humans. "You cannot expect us to coordinate with irregulars. Military science requires discipline, order synchronized." "Military science," interrupted a woman missing her left arm, her replacement limb clearly salvaged from a construction mech, "doesn't mean squat when your enemy adapts faster than your manuals can be reprinted." She hefted a weapon that seemed to be 3 different guns welded together. "I'm Rodriguez. I've seen Devourers learn to counter every proper tactic in the book. Know what they can't counter? Improvisation, stupidity, pure, stubborn refusal to lie down and die." The tactical briefing that followed was unlike anything the Coalition had experienced. Instead of orderly presentations and synchronized battle plans, the humans clustered around makeshift displays arguing, interrupting each other, and proposing strategies that violated every military doctrine Zixith had studied. "So we hit them here," Chen was saying, pointing at the enemy formation, "while Rodriguez's team creates a distraction by blowing up their own position." "Hold on," Quexina interjected. "Sacrificing positions is not acceptable tactical doctrine." "Not sacrificing," Rodriguez grinned. "We'll be riding the explosion. Learned that trick on Proxima 7 when we ran out of transport shuttles. The battle, when it came, was chaos incarnate. The coalition forces engaged with their traditional precision, measured volleys, coordinated advances, textbook maneuvers. And for the first hour they were slowly losing ground to the adaptive devourer swarms. Then the humans hit. They came from directions that weren't supposed to exist. Through ventilation systems, behind lines that should have been secure, from below and above and through spaces too small for soldiers. They fought with weapons that shouldn't work, using tactics that made no sense, and when their equipment failed, they fought with salvaged devourer parts. Chen led a charge riding on the back of a half-destroyed maintenance bot, firing in 3 directions while steering with his feet. Rodriguez detonated her position as promised, then used the explosion to vault over enemy lines and land in their rear formations. A kid who looked barely 18 took out an entire devourer node using nothing but mining explosives and what appeared to be sheer spite. "How are they doing this?" Vexra whispered as they watched the tactical display. The human forces were scattered across impossible positions, with no clear command structure, no coordinated objectives, and they were winning. "Because," said an old human voice behind them. They turned to see an ancient warrior, his beard white as starlight, watching the battle with calm eyes. "Because we learned something your perfect military academies never taught you." "What's that?" Zixith asked. The old man smiled. "That the enemy doesn't read the manual either. When you've got nothing left but your wits and your willpower, you learn to make both count. We've been making both count for a very long time." By battle's end, the Devourers were in full retreat, their adaptive algorithms unable to process the sheer unpredictability of human tactics. The coalition forces had learned something new. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy wasn't the one with the best equipment or the most disciplined troops. Sometimes it was the one who simply refused to quit. As the humans patched their wounds with whatever was handy and jury-rigged their equipment for the next fight, Zixith approached Chen. "How do we learn to fight like that?" Chen looked at him with that one remaining eye and shrugged. "Easy. Lose everything you think you know about how things should work. Then keep fighting anyway." The ragged human veterans were already preparing for their next impossible battle.